Chapter 19. Inside Fox News. I should have called ICE, Tucker Carlson told me seconds before his show went live on Fox News. It was May 2017. I don't know how serious he was about calling ICE, but the fact that he would even consider such a stunt reminded me how hard it is for some Americans to regard undocumented people three-dimensionally. Tucker was fiddling with his tie as I sat across from him inside his studio in Washington, D.C. Underneath all that bravado is a fidgety guy. He added, "That would have been good TV." That's what I was there for, good TV. The fact that it angered me, made me uncomfortable, and threw off my center. All that was irrelevant. In fact, the agitated, nervous energy that took hold in my entire body made me even better for TV. Carlson knew that, and I imagine that's why he said what he said. Worse, I knew too, but couldn't control my nerves. It's difficult to overstate the role the Fox News channel has played in framing, disseminating, and cementing the anti-immigrant narrative that was central in electing Trump. No other news channel, I would argue, has dominated a single issue the way Fox News has molded immigration. Though not everyone watches Fox, it's been the most watched cable news channel for more than 12 years, shaping the perception of immigrants in our families, especially for people who have no direct interaction with us and know us only through the media they consume. Anti-immigrant organizations with ties to white nationalism, the Federation for American Immigration Reform, the Center for Immigration Studies, and Numbers USA among them, have gone from being considered fringe groups to being viewed as credible sources because of their ubiquity on Fox. News outlets like NPR, the New York Times, and the Washington Post rely on the leaders of these groups for their expertise so that they can claim balance in their reporting. These well-funded, well-organized anti-immigrant groups command the right on a level unmatched by progressives on the left, who struggle to keep up with an unifying and accessible message. On Fox, illegals are cast as enemies, a collective burden to society, draining public programs and stealing jobs from native-born Americans. We are the criminalized and criminal other, thoroughly un-American and unwilling to become American. Though Fox News did not create Trump, it gave him an issue to own and a kingdom to reign over. At first, I was conflicted about appearing on Fox. I didn't want to be just another character in their script, complicit in their theatricality. I did not want to be used. But my friend Jamu Green, a co-founder of Define American, changed my mind. An unabashed progressive, Jamu is a paid contributor on Fox News. She's one of very few black female voices on the network. Look, it's either you're on Fox dismantling stereotypes about immigration in front of viewers who may call you illegal to your face, Jamu said, or you can just speak to the choir. I've appeared on Fox News numerous times in the past few years, mostly interviewed by Carlson, Bill O'Reilly, Megyn Kelly, and Lou Dobbs. Every hit on Fox requires careful preparation, which always boils down to making sure I am sufficiently calm before getting in front of the camera. And keeping my cool translates to controlling my thick and bushy eyebrows, which are the most expressive and most uncontrollable part of my face. The Fox producers who have booked me have been very kind and exceedingly polite, as if they know how much energy it takes for me to appear on their shows. Still, there was no preparing for that moment when O'Reilly, in November 2014, told me on air, "You and the other people here illegally don't deserve to be here." That's harsh. It's harsh, okay? Was I supposed to respond with, "Okay"? It was only my second time on O'Reilly's show. The first had been a satellite interview. O'Reilly is like everyone's cranky uncle, as brash and boorish in person as he is on air. Our interview was on the same day President Obama announced that he was expanding DACA, which would protect more immigrants, including older dreamers like me and undocumented parents of children who are U.S. citizens. I was caught off guard by what O'Reilly said. All I could do was repeat it inside my head, except I actually verbalized what I was thinking. "I don't deserve," I said on air. O'Reilly, as he is wont to do, interrupted, "Okay, you don't have an entitlement to be here." I corrected him. "I don't feel entitled to be here," I said. I tried hard not to raise an eyebrow, not to seem visibly angry or upset. This is where I grew up. This is my home. My family is here. For weeks, the exchange clouded and corrupted my mind. The only thought that cleared it was when I finally said to myself, "What has O'Reilly done to deserve to be here?" I only wish I could have thought of that question and asked him on air. I was even more unprepared 2 years later when producers added a last-minute guest to the lineup of an interview I was scheduled to do during the Republican National Convention in Cleveland. Originally, the interview was supposed to be between Kelly and me, but before I went on air, I was told that another guest was added, Laura Wilkerson, whose son Josh was killed by an undocumented immigrant. Producers sat us next to each other during the live hit. "Let me start with you, Laura," Kelly said, as I sat uncomfortably in my chair, knitting my eyebrows. As a group of people, Kelly calls us illegals or illegal immigrants. In person, to my face, she always refers to me as undocumented. You want a harder stance on illegal immigration, Kelly continued, and you're sitting next to Jose, who is himself an admitted undocumented immigrant. I mean, is it hard to look at him and say, I want you kicked out? You know, I want the Trump plan that would lead you to being removed? My stomach dropped. I could feel myself shrinking. I wanted to walk out of the interview. To this day, I don't know how I managed to stay seated. I think if you're not a United States citizen, you don't have a seat at the table regardless, especially when you're making laws, Wilkerson responded. I could feel her vitriol wrapped in such profound loss. You just don't have a seat at the table. But I was seated right next to her. We were sharing a table. At the moment, the only thing I could do was turn toward her and acknowledge her pain. I'm really sorry about your loss, I said. We're at the mercy of Congress people, Congress members who haven't done anything. It's not up to Congress to do something, Wilkerson said. It's up to you to get in line and become an American citizen. She continued. There is a law. It needs to be enforced. Close the borders. Enforce current laws. And, welcome to America if you come in the front door. Actually, ma'am, there is no line for me to get in back of, I said to her. I told myself, look her in the eye, don't cut her off, be polite. I continued. That's why we need for something to happen. I'll be here 23 years next month. Then you've had plenty of time, Wilkerson said. If there was a process, I would have done it. Kelly interjected and told Wilkerson that it was brought to America. A few seconds that seemed like hours passed before Kelly asked Wilkerson if she favored any sort of path to legalization for immigrants like me. Get in line and come in and tell us who you are, Wilkerson said. We have a right to know who's in this country. So that's the only thing I believe. They've put themselves in harm by coming here. There was no time to respond to what Wilkerson said. I wanted to keep repeating, there is no line. I wanted to scream over and over again, there is no line, there is no line, there is no line. I wanted to tell her that when it comes to harm, she has no idea, just like I have no idea what it's like to lose a son. Indescribable, the harm all around.